Hi everyone, I haven't gotten a video for a while, but I thought I'd chime in and say hello and give you an update about my exile from the so-called spiritual community, but I actually would call it the fake spiritual community because there's barely anyone in there, way less than 1% from what I've researched in the last 13 years, going to workshops, working with these types of people. Yeah, I have to exile myself and essentially been exiled by them because I end up calling them out for actions that they've done against me and my family, and quite horrific actions, to be honest, that we're going to have to be taking many of them actually to court, or at least the litigation. We'll see if it gets to court, but probably not, because most cases don't get to court. I hear 95% don't go to court, but that's in America. In the UK, I think they go to court more often. It depends on your jurisdiction. As I'm learning more about law this year, I think over the next years I want to learn more about law, and I think it's important that people actually have close connections with their lawyer, their attorney, their solicitor, whatever you call it in your country. And we've got to trust these people because they've got big jobs on their hands to protect us from AI, and also humans using AI in bad actor ways, or humans just doing bad stuff to other humans, unfortunately, which has happened to me in the last years for no reason, to be honest, apart from people's hatred of me, which probably goes back to I don't know when. I guess people hate reasons for different reasons. I don't particularly take it personally, or I've never taken it personally. Since teenagers, I've known that, at school people are mean, and to everyone. I grew up in a school where it was just all the boys was constantly smashing into each other, verbally more than physically. Occasionally, physically it would happen, not too much compared to what you hear in, say, America, where I think they're a bit more physical. In England, it's more verbal, taunting constantly to see if your mind is capable of coping with it. And in adulthood, certainly, actually, when I've become a father, um, it's become more horrific than ever. I don't know why that is. I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know, father and husband. So let's put those two together. When I was, going back 6, 7 years, I definitely wasn't. Before I was married, that is, I wasn't given so much shit in business. In fact, I'd never really had any problems in business. There was one problem about 3 years ago. I was attacked by a group of women for not a proportionate reason. It should have been dealt with privately, and then they decided to all make it public, which was just, I think, technically unlawful, immoral, and all the rest of it. So that was one. It was kind of a smaller issue, and then the bigger issue was at Christmas when I was attacked. So I can't talk about that too much right now. And yeah, so the attacks get worse, but I'm 42 next month, and so I've known guys who I did business with in London and friends with, and they've been attacked many times via the legal realms. It's pretty normal. I think I'm not comparing myself to the man, but Mr. Trump had, I think he's had about one lawsuit every year since he started in business. So he's had thousands of lawsuits. I think it's when you start to make a name for yourself. Everyone wants to tear you down. Actually, even there's a radio station in London that are trying to tear me down at the moment. So they don't want. They claim the trademark on a word, which there's just no way that they can trademark this specific word. And they want to tear me down. So you have to fight. You have to be a sovereign being in this world. You can't just lay down and let these, I think they're just weak snowflakes who actually know nothing about the law. When you go and research the law and then you look at their behavior, if you're the one in integrity and telling the truth and they're lying constantly, and also not only lying but over dramatizing in terms of crying about stuff, literally crying. This is why I call these fake spiritual people essentially cry babies. And the worst, my 15-month-old doesn't cry this much, not even close. He's a few minutes a day, like maximum total up probably 5 minutes of a minute, to because you can't speak when you're a kid. And this is the frustration comes out, so you end up crying. But these adults end up crying, and are not belittling crying, but using it as a way to solicit mass empathy based on lies. It's quite sad to watch a grown adult who calls himself a spiritual leader or a conscious teacher to cry so much. Sure enough, if it's legitimate and you're going through an experience that is strong, by all means say you're going through a strong experience at the time and let people know, but maybe don't get on a blog or whatever else you're going to create and start crying, basically naming names, and then putting tens of thousands of people's energy towards that person. It's just pathetic. I don't remember it. I didn't have social media at school because it was 1999 when I was in the 90s, so we didn't have phones until I was kind of leaving school. So I obviously have no memory of teenagers acting on their phones, getting on their phones, talking crap about each other, which they probably do now. But it doesn't seem like it would be a behavior that was condoned by the teachers at the school or the parents to do that. So that's a teenager. So why are adults doing this? Because they're still trapped in this trauma cycle, yet they're teaching others in other classes to be more conscious about their behaviors, which should mean self-awareness, but it's not self-awareness if you're at least you can have a trauma. In my perspective, everyone has trauma. I have trauma. I had trauma at Christmas because of what this team of people, international team of people, were doing to me and my wife and essentially my baby. So I had some trauma. Talked a bit about it back then. Had an emotional episode, I would say. Now I'm in reflection mode, talking about it in a way that people can understand and in a legal sense, and getting legal advice because it's a legal issue. If it's a legal issue, go and get a lawyer and get some serious advice, because this is not legal advice. The only advice you can give around law is get a lawyer. And as I said earlier in this video, people should have close relationships with their lawyer, which I do actually. So I met her in 2015 and very much respect her work. She respects my work and knows my wife, knows my baby. if you don't have that type of connection with the lawyer in this world where you're creating a business, and more people will be kind of forced into entrepreneurship with the rise of AI, because it's going to take jobs, unfortunately. So this is a multi-layered video update. If you watch it, thank you. And I will be creating more my business stuff next year. This year I'm in a more of a strategy mode as things fall down in the world and they're rebuilt. I'll be actually republish my book in 3 different ways for 3 different types of people: entrepreneurs, people in relationships, and then single people. And um, yeah, putting that out there next year, and a variety of other stuff going on. We will be actually launching cacao business with my wife shortly in September. Properly, it's kind of there already, but it's not properly launched. And so we're putting energy into that, shipping Guatemalan cacao. And yeah, I think there's other stuff that I'll talk about later, but I think this is enough for an update. If you watched this far, much love, and peace.